generates generates the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field, approximately 5,000 times stronger than the brain's electromagnetic field. What are we talking about today? The heart and how it helps us with our happiness, our health, and our harmony. Welcome to the show. I'm Lisa Mosby, the host. Grab your coffee and listen in, or click the show link at winwinwomen.tv and join me live to share your thoughts and encourage others. I'd love to hear from you this week. If not this week, then come on back next week and join me live. Last week I mentioned my morning empowerment call. It's called the Morning Rush. And I've been attending and facilitating that for about 2 years now. We describe it as an empowerment call from the heart, or for heart-centered leaders who are being the change they want to see in the world. I share this with you because this week I want to talk about research studying heart rate variability and heart math. These things that are discovering the power and the intelligence of the heart. This research has revealed that an individual's emotional states can be directly correlated to cardiac electromagnetic coherence. I know these are a lot of big words, but stick with me. There's going to be a point to this, and I'm going to get to it really quickly. Positive coping mechanisms and intentions have been shown to increase cardio coherence, whereas negative emotions result in diminished coherence. What does that mean? When you're looking at an EKG, and diminished coherence will be bouncing all over the place, where the positive influences are more like a wave, is how it's described. It's rhythmic, it's harmonious, it's in a wave pattern when we have coherence. When it's diminished, it's that frenetic, it still has a rhythm to it, but it's frenetic, and it can sometimes be linked to feelings of jitteriness or maybe anxiety, that kind of a sense that we get. And our heart can be responsible for that based on positive and negative feelings. How are we feeling? How are we experiencing our emotions? All of our organs, the heart generates the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field, approximately 5,000 times stronger than that of the brain's electromagnetic field. In fact, the heart is the strongest source of our bioelectrical energy. It's 40 to 60% stronger than the electrical energy of the brain. And the incredible part is the heart's electrical energy is so powerful. It radiates beyond our skin and can actually be measured 3 to 5 feet outside of our body, in a 360-degree field all the way around us. We project this energy all the way around us. Are we projecting positive, or are we projecting negative in our field of energy? They're actually starting to track this and study it and see how our heart energy links to the planet. We are literally broadcasting our emotions to those around us at any given time. In fact, all the time we are. So don't take my word for it. I'm going to give you some resources in the show notes. You can certainly go down there and look at them and read all about it. There's several TED Talks about this, but I bring this in to say, this is why I spend so much time in different community forums and working with the Morning Rush group, which is a heart-centered community leadership entrepreneur group where we're teaching people to come from the heart, to lead with the heart, to lead with those powerful energies. Let's get out of our brains and get into our hearts. We'll actually change the world for better if we can come from that place of kindness and compassion. We're going to do an exercise at the end of this show today. Takes a minute, so stick with me and I'll teach you how to tap into that field, that heart-centered field, and push out positive wave-like energy versus that frenetic energy that's bouncing all over the place. The electromagnetic energy within this field actually changes depending on our emotional state. whether it's positive or negative, up or down, sad, happy, all of those emotions can be measured in our electromagnetic field. And this is according to Howard Martin from healthmath.org. Both he and another woman have done some TED Talks on them. I have her name, it's Debbie, and I'll give you her name later on in the show. I have all the particulars down at the bottom in the notes. The heart radiates an electromagnetic field that energetically affects each other's moods, not just our mood, but each other's moods, attitudes, and feelings. Have you ever stood next to somebody that was happy and consequently felt happier being around them? Or have you ever been in the same room as a group of stressed out people who and became stressed out yourself? Have you gone to a dinner party and you walked in and said, I don't know if I want to be here. Like the vibe, we might have used the word, the vibe was off, or the vibe didn't jive with me. You pick up and you sense the emotions in the room or in a classroom or in an auditorium, uh, any place that you're going. You can feel stressed walking into a stressed environment without any provocation yourself. You just enter it and you can feel it. It's like a wall of energy that you're walking into. This is also evident with our pets as well. If you have the privilege of sharing your space with a dog or a cat or another type of pet, you've probably picked up on the reactions of your furry friend or slithering friend. Yeah. You've probably picked up on their reactions. Have you ever noticed when your dog seems stressed because you are? Like, do they start taking on your emotions when you walk into the room, leave the room, when you've been gone for a while? Do they react like you when you left? Do they react differently? If you have a pet at home, check this out and start to notice their behavior. How are they affected by your emotions? Or have you ever noticed if your pet seemed more at peace when you are? It doesn't have to just be the negative emotions. We can look for and observe those positive emotions as well. There's actually science for this, and this has been it's proven through heart rhythms. The timing between each heartbeat changes depending on our emotions. When we are feeling those negative emotions, such as frustration, our heart rhythm patterns are jagged and irregular and sharp. But when we're feeling positive emotions, such as appreciation, our heart rhythms have a smooth wave like vibration. And you can see this on the EKG when they measure it. This is significant because our heart rhythm sends an electrical message to our brains that can either facilitate brain function or inhibit brain function. I know I talked about, moms may talk about baby brain. I know when I was caring for both my parents as they were, ailing and failing and moving on to go be with the Lord. They would call them senior moments. I said, I'm not a senior yet. That can't be a senior moment, but it does. It's the emotion, the grief, the angst. When you're going through all of these challenges with somebody, it affected my physiology and it affected my brain. I was forgetful. I would miss things. I couldn't remember things. So you've probably all experienced this, and oh, that's just the baby brain, or I'm overly tired, or I'm feeling stressed. It is those things, but there's a direct connection to it through our heart. During a negative emotion, such as anger, frustration, or maybe resentment, the quality of our heart-brain communication is poor when we're having that kind of emotion. Have you ever been so stressed out that you couldn't think straight? And can you connect it to what was happening at the time? Can you think back to a time when perhaps you were angry, something happened, and it just went out the window, like your thoughts went out the window? It's like, I can't remember, I can't think of it. Or the world around you was in just chaos and you were trying to pull it together and you're, but your list may slip through your mind, or you just can't think of what's happening or what you need to pull out at the moment. But when you relax, all of a sudden, oh remember what I was going to tell you about. Have you ever had that experience? That's a result in part of irregular, jagged heart rhythms being communicated by your heart to your brain. And conversely, when we feel a positive heart emotion, such as kindness or love, it sends feedback to the brain that our heart rhythms have smooth wave-like patterns that result in clear thinking, higher thinking capacity. Remember, these signals are released um, outside of the skin. We're pushing them out, not just from our heart, but it's radiating out into our environment. It's radiating out through our skin, 3 to 5 feet around us, some people say. And I want you to be mindful the next time you're standing next to somebody. How does it feel? Like, is it someone that you want to stand next to? Are you in a room with someone that you maybe don't want to be in a room with anymore? Or maybe there are people that you meet them and you just want to pull them in because, oh my gosh, when I'm with them, I feel so invigorated. I feel alive. They have so much energy that they're pouring into me. Just by being in their presence, it lifts me up. So focus and pay attention a little bit. You don't have to stress about it because we don't want to put that kind of energy into the world, but start paying attention to the energy, the vibe, and then like check in with your emotions. Like, am I feeling blessed? Am I feeling loved? Am I feeling kindness? Am I feeling welcome? Am I feeling invited? Or am I walking in at, a holiday dinner or a birthday dinner and it's like, ooh, like I gotta break through the wall of energy to get through there. And it's awkward or uncomfortable, or you don't feel recognized, appreciated, heard. Just check in and see, you're sensing it in your system, you're sensing it when you're with your energy, but then take it a step further and start to maybe pay attention. What emotions am I feeling? What emotions am I picking up on as I'm walking into this space and feeling this energy? Your heart has the power to change someone's mood. I think it deserves a little bit of attention so that we know when we're changing for good and we're changing for bad and what our intention is. Wouldn't you rather be showing up in the world and creating that positive environment rather than, being the one that's throwing dirty garbage on somebody's front lawn or dirty garbage in somebody's living room? No, we don't want to do that. We want to lift people up. We want to edify. Imagine the possibilities of how this can shift people around the globe, not just in our inner circle, because when we do this, we give this to somebody else who gives it to somebody else, and we have no idea how it gets passed on. When our energy radiates into other people and we lift them up and we affect their mood, they again get to do the same and reflect out to somebody else. So there's this trickle down effect or trickle out, like a pebble in the sand or a pebble in the water. You throw the pebble in, we put our good in, and it goes. It just goes and goes and goes. But it all starts with us. There's a tremendous possibility of raising the vibration of the planet, of serving the planet for good, just by our emotions, and being aware of our emotions. And by simply feeling appreciative, you can broadcast that positive heart emotion to the next person. What if you're at a rock concert? You could, broadcast to the entire room. What if you're at church? There's that vibration already. I think at church, I know I feel that love when I go there. I think that's why a lot of people love to go to church and enjoy it. If they're in the right church, they feel that sense of welcome, that kindness and that love and that compassion and understanding. They feel those healthy emotions when we're in a church that appreciates their members and they pour into them. When folks greet you at the door and sometimes they remember your name, but at least just a good morning, a hello and welcome. It's great to see you. It shifts us. It helps to lift our mood, and we can do that simply and easily and fairly effortlessly for other people. But how far could this really go? We could be affecting people all around the world and not even know them, never even meet them, but our energy can trickle out through different people, and we could see change beyond our imagination. Research studying heart rate variability revealed that an individual's emotional states can be directly correlated to a cardiac electromagnetic coherence, is what they call it. Positive coping mechanisms and intention have been shown to increase that cardiac coherence. Boy, it's a mouthful to say all this stuff. Whereas the negative emotions result in diminished coherence. They've actually studied this. There is research. They are tracking this, and they have identified it. Of all the organs, the heart generates the largest rhythmic electromagnetic field. So the heart has a very complex nervous system of its own. We have a nervous system within our body, but many researchers have discovered that the heart has its own nervous system that sends messages to the brain all the time. We always thought the brain was managing everything on the body, that the brain was in charge, but the heart is sending messages to the brain. They've been able to actually track this. In fact, it sends messages to the brain constantly, over and over and over again. The heart produces a hormone that wards off stress. They've been able to identify it, and it's called cortisol. We know that cortisol also is affected by the adrenal glands, but the hormone from the heart affects our cortisol levels as well. So the folks at Heart Math have been studying the intelligence and correlations of the heart for some time. And you can look up Heart Math on YouTube. You can learn more about this. Through the Global Coherence Initiative, they have discovered evidence, and they have large numbers of people that create similar outgoing emotional waves. Like when you're in a rock concert, there might be emotional waves, or when you're in a sporting event and your sports team wins, they can measure the emotional waves that creates in that type of an event. The same is true when there's trauma within the planet, meaning there's a natural disaster of some sort. They can actually measure the waves of energy, and they're correlating them to heart rhythms, which is, it's just fascinating to me that they're doing this. When there's a natural disaster, loss of a loved one, even during the presidential election, they were monitoring the energy and heart rhythms and how it might be correlating to how people are feeling pre and post election. Fascinating. These thoughts and energies can affect us and our communities. They can also affect the magnetic field of the planet. The Global Coherence Alliance has developed a monitoring system with stations located around the Earth. And so they're starting to measure this even on a global scale, not just regionally, but now they're taking it to the next level. They've been doing some fundraising about it. It crossed my path and I happened to notice it. Their hypothesis with the data that they've collected so far is, quote, the strong collective emotional intention has a measurable impact on the Earth's geometric field, end quote. So they're already starting to correlate this, like how the people of the planet feel. We talk about us not just being in, each of us are from different countries, but we are global. Like everything that we do around the world affects other countries. It affects other human beings. Some of you may have heard of the 100th monkey principle. They were monitoring an island where monkeys were living, and they noticed when the 100th monkey on that island did something where they were all doing the same thing, that it started to happen to monkeys on other continents. It started to happen to with monkeys in other cultures. So there's something to be said about that. And I know that many prayer teams pray for women around the world, pray for women in the Middle East, pray for women who may not be having equal rights or may not be being able to receive an education. And things start to change in those countries and in those cultures when we pray we hold an intention, we send love and compassion to those nations, and we pray for them for change. So we're seeing it through prayer, we're seeing it through meditation, we're seeing it through just our mindset, our attitude, our vibration. And we see it during times of good, maybe a sporting event, a wedding, something culturally that's happening, or we see it in times of trauma when there's a natural disaster, there's grief, there's loss of a loved one. The same could be true of if you go to the hometown of the winning football team versus the hometown of the losing football team. There's probably some coherence or lack of coherence, depending on if you're on the winning side or the losing side. So this is a fascinating topic, and I know I'm spending a little bit of time on it, but how can I tie this all together? Our choices are constantly determining our peace, our happiness, our self-security. We control our mind. We control our thoughts. And when we control our mind and our thoughts, we have the power to calm ourselves down. We have the power to lift up our energy. We have the power to choose happiness. Happiness can be a choice. It is a choice. Or we have the power to choose sadness and disdain and anger. We have the choice. Sometimes things can ruffle our feathers. A car accident or an incident might happen in your life, or the furnace goes out, or you have an issue with your house. There's a choice that, we can be angry about those things happening, and there is a place for anger. We can also be at peace with that and say, well, the house was getting old and we knew the furnace was on its last leg. Or I don't really have a positive reframe for the car accident, but that one's up to you. You'll have to figure that out. Or if you slid off the road in an ice storm and you went into a snowbank and you crashed up a fender or something. I don't want to speak anything negative or bad over anyone, but these things happen. Life incidents, life happens. And so when it does, how do we want to react to it? I'm not saying there's no place for anger. That is not what I'm saying at all. That anger happens, and anger can be a motivator. But there are also times where we can pause and we can be at peace and try to have a harmony within our system so that we can resolve something that isn't working. So we can get the car fixed and get on with life rather than living it with the anger and the rage of it and driving around with a car with a dent in it that's just pissing you off every time you get into it. Sometimes it's worth the money to spend it, to fix it, to put it behind us, to move on. So you get to choose. The power of this information is giving you power of understanding on how our heart can actually help us. Now, I brought up the Morning Rush group that I was talking about that I'm a member of, and the reason that I bring that up is the motto behind that is, we are heart-centered leaders, being the change we want to see in the world. And so when we start our day off, we meet Monday through Friday, 8 to 8:45 Eastern time. If you ever want to join, it's totally free. Everyone is welcome. We're primarily entrepreneurs and business owners, and we show up to get help to grow our businesses. And we also show up to get help for our personal experiences, like what's happening in your life, how is your mindset? How are you handling things as they come up? And we talk about this kind of information to help us be better human beings, to help the planet, in a better way, to put positive energy into the world and hope to see some change that is for good. And then it trickles out. We're trying to teach each other and support each other in being leaders that we want people to take notice of, leaders that we want others to be watching because they're leading in a heart-centered manner that is lifting up everyone in our circle. So how do we do that in our own lives, in our own business? Not that you have to join that group or anything of that nature. You don't even have to show up. But it's been heavy on my heart to talk about this because I know that we're making a difference. We've started to reach momentum. We have some young, new, straight out of college entrepreneurs who wanted to start their own business. And just by showing up and taking notes and listening to us old dogs that have been there, a long time, they're getting ideas. And it's amazing what their sponge-like brains do with those ideas. They're teaching us who have been in business for 20, 30, 40 years new technologies with AI. They're teaching us new ideas. They're helping us to look at something from a 180-degree perspective because they see it differently, because they have new information. They recently got educated. We went through college years ago. So there's this cohesion that happens when you bring in the youth and you bring in the wisdom and you collaborate together. We all win. And we don't work together. We're all independent. So it's not like I make money if somebody else makes money. That's not how it works. I have to do my own business, but we're there as a support team for each other and we collaborate together. And if somebody is struggling, they can throw that struggle into the conversation and get input from 10, 15, 20 people who are on that call that day. And so we can do this in our everyday lives. And one of the things that I see coming for me is doing this with health and wellness. I want to start a community group like this that's called Our Healthy Community or My Healthy Community. And we talk about wellness, and you can show up and say, hey, these are the challenges that I'm facing. And I'm not saying that we're going to cure diseases or any of that kind of thing, but sometimes when we can shift our mindset, we start to see possibilities. We start to see opportunities that were there all along, but because we were having a pity party or we were feeling sorry for ourselves, we couldn't get out of our own way to solve the problem. And so sometimes when we can be part of a community, when we can be integrated with other people who are heart-centered and they're coming from a kind, compassion place, no criticism, no judgment. It's a comfortable, safe space to talk about what's happening in your life and in your world and get a group perspective. And you don't have to take the advice. You don't have to take anything from it. But sometimes just having access to that makes all the difference in the world. It allows you to be seen and heard. It allows you to express something into a safe environment, maybe get feedback. Maybe it's just saying it out loud for your own benefit so that you know what to do with it going forward from that point. When we hold it all in and we stuff it, it becomes this overwhelming bundle of energy. And sometimes we just need to get it out in a safe space and have that get it out of our system and maybe have some input, but know that it's getting heard. Know that somebody cares enough about you to listen to what's happening in your life and in your health. So there's a couple of places for folks to engage with me and what I'm doing. The Morning Rush, you can look for that online. There'll be links there. You can certainly reach out to me. I will try to include that in the show notes also on YouTube for this episode. So you can just click on the link and join, and you'll be right in the Zoom room. And then watch for Our Healthy Community. It's going to be on Facebook. I set up the group. I'm going to start putting some posts in there. I think I'm going to launch it in the first of January of 2025. New Year might be something that's on my radar. Hopefully I can get that compiled and put together by then. Remember last week I talked about my mission statement. Yeah, like if I don't serve, if I don't make the change, if I don't help people find a way to create residual income, and I mean people by women, I mean, if I don't help women who are struggling find a way to create residual income, I'm not serving. I'm not doing what it is that I was put here to do. In my mind, in my heart, I'm feeling that it's heavy on my heart. So I know that it's where my purpose resides right now in this time frame. So these are some of the things that are coming up, and I just wanted to share it out with you. We're changing the name of the podcast from Living with Favor. We're going to be a bit of insight with Lisa Mosbey, a bit of insight talking about health, wealth, and everything else is going to be my tagline. So We're trying this out here at the end of 2024 in the month of December. These last 4 episodes are kind of the launch for us for a bit of insight. So there'll be some new logos, new branding, all kinds of stuff. And we're going to launch so many different initiatives coming in 2025. And it's an honor and a pleasure and a gift for me to be able to do that. So I'm going to continue to plug along, continue to support my entrepreneur friends and business partners and associates and acquaintances, because I really truly believe that when we have that financial piece taken care of, when we create and generate that residual income for ourselves, when we know where the money's coming from and we build it strong enough so that it's there in times of need, if somebody gets sick, if we have the loss of a loved one, if we have to take care of a loved one, we don't have to be stressed about where our money's coming from. So I want people to be part of an organization. We no longer have pensions. We no longer have, can count on Social Security. We just don't know what the future holds, but we know right now today there are millionaires being made on YouTube using digital marketing. We know that there are millionaires being made using network marketing, direct sales, affiliate marketing. There's so many opportunities for people to be self-employed, more so than ever before, and it's accepted around the globe. And if you need help with that, please reach out, because I would love to talk to you about what that could look like in your life. And where do you start if you need some guidance? So we can plug you into the Morning Rush. We can plug you into our healthy community. And who knows, there might be a third plug-in somewhere along the way to help us entrepreneurs get started. Those of us that have never been entrepreneurs and want to get started as entrepreneurs. I have no idea where this year is going to take us. If you have any thoughts on it, ideas, shoot them my way. I'd be happy to listen to ideas, because I am a woman on a mission at the moment. I have free time now that my mom and dad have both gone to be to heaven and back to be with the Lord. They're in a safe and healthy environment now, so I get to go discover my greatness, figure out what it is that I want to do to serve the world, and a lot of it has to do with health, wellness, and entrepreneurship. So that's all going to start unfolding in 2025, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. So if you have any thoughts or ideas, please share them with me, and tune in next week. I have no idea what we're talking about yet, but we're going to bring some more new ideas to the table, and we'll be talking about insight. A bit of insight is going to launch in January, so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you all, and happy holidays if you're listening to this in December.